Right now at 6, millions of dollars to expand Oregon's electric vehicle network, now hanging in the balance.
They're trying to blow up the entire program.
Plus, how Portland is taking the federal government to court to defend its sanctuary city status.
Portland is committed to upholding both state laws and our values.
Then, the new program tackling two problems when it comes to ambulance response.
It's an opportunity I wouldn't have been able to do, I don't think, without this.
And later, how changes at the Canadian border could make it harder for hikers to finish one of the best trails on the planet. Good evening, everyone. David Molko here with you tonight. We want to get right to breaking news in the largest healthcare worker strike in Oregon history, because in just the last few minutes, we have learned thousands of nurses from 7 Providence hospitals have overwhelmingly rejected the latest contract offer from Providence, one that took nearly 4 weeks on the picket lines to make. The Oregon Nurses Association, that is the union, reporting tonight with 92% turnout. 83% voted no. ONA saying this sends a message to Providence that, quote, this offer failed to adequately address the underlying systemic issues that have plagued Providence hospitals for years, end quote. In a statement this evening, Providence said it is disappointed in those results. By the way, nurses at Providence Medford have until 4 Saturday afternoon to vote on their contract. We should also get results tomorrow from doctors at Providence St. Vincent, who are voting on their new tentative agreement. Of course, we'll keep you posted and hope to have much more tonight on KGW News at 11. At the same time, nurses at 3 other Portland hospitals have voted to unionize and join the Oregon Nurses Association. This includes more than 2,000 at Legacy Emmanuel, Randall Children's Hospital, and Good Samaritan Hospital. Those nurses will now start negotiating their first union contracts. Okay, now to a live look outside on this quiet and chilly Friday, though we're calling a weather impact alert for the overnight hours into Saturday, with a new system forecast to bring some rain and even snow in some spots. Let's get right to Chief Meteorologist Matt Zaffino to break it all down. Matt?
Thanks, David. Rain showers have already pushed into the Portland area. We're 42 degrees, and I can show you on Doppler radar what that looks like. Little precursor batch rolling on through. It'll dry out. You see it's already clearing off, or at least drying out over Washington County, but more snow showers and rain showers upstream. This system coming in off the Pacific, and the snow level will be down around 500 to 1,000 feet. So we're not expecting sticking snow on the valley floor. That'll be at elevations between 500, mainly above 1,000 feet, but it's close enough, so we're calling it a weather impact alert into the morning hours for that rain-snow mix. Watch out for slush if you are going to be driving up in the hills, or for instance, on your way to Mount Hood or over the coast. You will encounter snow on those roads as well. ODOT passes, in fact, right now. You can see government camps at 23 degrees. There's snow on the road there. Santiago Pass looks very snowy, so does Willamette Pass, and there will be new snow at the ski area, so that looks great. So rain and snow showers tomorrow morning. Again, no accumulation on the valley floor. Dry, cold, and breezy weather sets in after that, and another chance for snow around Thursday. We'll dig into that in a bit, David.
All right. Thank you, Matt. We are following a number of new moves by the Trump administration this evening, including pushback by cities and states across the country. We're going to talk about sanctuary cities in just a moment. But first, the White House has suspended the National Electric Vehicle Program, and that's putting Oregon's plan to install EV charging stations across the state in jeopardy. Celine Stevens is here to walk us through it. Celine?
David, Oregon was counting on $52 million in federal funding to build out the EV charging stations, but now this pause in funding takes effect immediately until final guidance is issued and new state plans are approved.
The only reason I can see to try and retroactively invalidate all of these plans is that they're trying to blow up the entire program.
Jeff Allen is the executive director of Fourth, a Portland nonprofit that works nationwide to increase access for electric mobility. On Thursday, the Federal Highway Administration announced it would immediately suspend the approval of all state electric vehicle infrastructure deployment plans. The new leadership at the Department of Transportation wants to review the policies for implementing the National Electric Vehicle Infrastructure Formula Program, also known as NEVI.
I think the really radical and questionable part of this is the attempt to retroactively invalidate previous guidelines and approved plans without anything to replace them with. And I think that's going to be a question for the courts to decide.
The NEVI program is part of the 2021 bipartisan infrastructure law meant to create a network of EV charging stations over 5 years.
It was really the first steps towards creating a really reliable national network of fast chargers to enable people to move about freely.
Oregon Department of Transportation was expecting $52 million to build these fast charging stations, with the first installations expected to occur this year. Now, ODOT says it's only able to use funding previously obligated for the program on infrastructure for Round 1, which includes locations along Highway 97, I-205, and I-5 south of Eugene. All other locations are in doubt.
This is just a very cynical attempt to stop the program altogether, or to delay and confuse it enough to constitute a stop for practical purposes.
Electrify America, one of the private EV charging companies managing a couple of the stations, wrote in a statement that they continue to engage with stakeholders to understand developments impacting the National Electric Vehicle Infrastructure Program and remain committed to growing their coast-to-coast hyperfast network to support transportation electrification. Allen says likely most Oregonians and Washingtonians with EVs won't be impacted, as the states already have a good backbone of charging infrastructure.
I think the real impact is going to be in parts of the country that haven't been installing charging infrastructure, that don't have as much. It's going to hurt rural areas, and people there who were interested in driving electric are going to have fewer options for where to charge.
In a statement, a spokesperson for the U.S. Department of Transportation also said it will reimburse existing obligations in order to not disrupt current financial commitments. David?
Well, I suppose that's something. Thank you, Celine. Let's stick with this theme now, because the city of Portland is joining a lawsuit against the federal government over the Trump administration's threats to sanctuary cities. At the heart of the matter is a directive from the White House to cut off federal funding to jurisdictions with sanctuary status who do not comply with federal immigration laws. The administration has already sued Illinois and Chicago over their laws. Today, Mayor Keith Wilson saying Portland is not trying to ignore federal law, but rather keep the focus of local police on local problems.
We object to the federal government's attempt to defund public safety, infrastructure, and critical services in our city. Portland is committed to upholding both state laws and our values. We are prepared to make our case in court and ensure that our city remains a sanctuary for all community members.
The city has more than $10 million worth of federal grants that could be under threat. Meanwhile, and I know there is a lot to keep track of here, bear with us, Oregon and Washington filed a lawsuit today over President Trump's executive order to end federal funding for institutions that provide gender-affirming care. The order also says criminal enforcement will be used against medical professionals and patients. Washington AG Nick Brown arguing the order violates the Fifth Amendment's Equal Protection Clause by singling out transgender people. He also argued the president cannot criminalize medical practices.
It promotes harassment and discrimination against people that are already marginalized. It risks their literal health and safety and that of their providers.
The lawsuit seeks a temporary restraining order to pause it. In your headlines, a former high school teacher in Banks has been arrested again for new charges of sex abuse. Wyman Smith was first arrested last month and accused of having sexual contact with a student on campus. Since then, investigators say nearly 20 people have come forward with allegations of abuse dating back almost 25 years. Smith also worked as a teacher in Astoria in the early 2000s. Investigators say they believe there are likely more victims. In Idaho, a bill that would make the firing squad the main method of execution has now passed the House. Supporters say overall it's a much less problematic way to kill someone when compared with lethal injection.
The appeals that have gone on for our two who are currently furthest on towards the death penalty actually being carried out, the appeals all had to do with how the intravenous injection would interact with their bodies and their current medications and that type of thing, that it would be painful, cause issues.
Okay, while the bill still needs to pass the Senate, lawmakers have actually allocated $750,000 to build or remodel a facility to carry out said executions. Opponents are pointing toward the cost as the main reason not to change the current method. And a Washington County canine helped deputies catch up with a suspect who allegedly crashed into a house and then ran. Deputies say they saw a vehicle speeding Wednesday night. This was near TV Highway on 185th. After this crash, they say the driver ran away, but the canine found him a couple hours later hiding in a backyard. 35-year-old Isaro Garcia of Beaverton now faces charges that include hit and run, reckless driving, and DUII. Now at 6, a new program from local ambulance provider AMR is aimed at boosting staffing and improving ambulance response times, something we've covered extensively over the past few years right here on KGW. Devin Haskins is live in Southeast Portland with those details. Devin?
Well, David, the Earn While You Learn program has been around since 2018, but this is the first graduating class for American Medical Response in Oregon. AMR, as you just said, has been under intense scrutiny over the last couple of years because of response times and ambulance shortages. They say this could help fix those problems. After 15 weeks of school and learning, 8 new EMTs are providing care in Multnomah County.
We have the oxygen tank. In the back, we have our pulse ox as well.
Ashley Moore is one of them.
You don't call 911 when you're having a good day, you're having a bad day. So being able to be there for people on their bad day, to provide support, care, education, who wouldn't want to do that?
The program, Earn While You Learn, gives aspiring EMTs hands-on learning, in-class instruction, and first-hand experience alongside trained paramedics and EMTs, all while earning a full-time salary. Without the paid schooling, Moore says she wouldn't be here.
Been an amazing opportunity. It's an opportunity I wouldn't have been able to do, I don't think, without this program. So it's definitely been life-changing.
The program comes at a critical time for AMR. Since March of 2022, AMR Multnomah County ambulances frequently arrived late to emergencies, per county standards, which required 2 paramedics per ambulance.
Feel the tone and tenor change on this issue. And
recently, the county relaxed those standards, allowing a hybrid crew of a paramedic and an EMT.
The goal of the Earn While You Learn program was to increase that staffing to ultimately increase our response times and the amount of ambulances that we have in the field.
The program attracted over 300 applicants, with just 15 being accepted and 8 making it to graduation.
It's a hard class. There's education that has to be done. Right?
Carmen Kurtz was an instructor for the inaugural class.
It's super important to be involved because of access and education. We have a shortfall in EMT providers and EMS providers around the country right now, and anything our institution can do and our faculty can do to help grow that and get people interested.
Moore received her certification in late January and will work alongside a field trainer for the next several weeks.
It's been great. Seeing it all come together at the very end has been very rewarding. This is the moments we've been waiting for, is to be out there serving the community.
And David, AMR says with these graduates, they are now fully staffed with EMTs. Back to you.
A little bit of good news on that front. Thank you, Devin. By the way, the KGW investigative team has been covering the AMR staffing crisis for well over a year. If you text the word AMR to that number, 503-226-5088, we will text you back with a link to a YouTube playlist with all our reporting.